Hey guys, no long introduction needed today. Same equipment as yesterday. Timeless, knurled handle, open comb, 68 gap. It's a stainless steel version. The Nacet blade is already in it. The bore brush I'm using this month, for all of this month, is a Zenith B2. It's a little damp already because I did kind of get it started soaking, get it wet a little bit. The Nacet I'm using that I mentioned a second ago is on its 170th decade and 5. So 175 is how many uses it has on it now. So let's put number 6 on there. Chiseled face, Midnight Stag is the challenge, and this is the aftershave I use after. Yesterday was my first time using the aftershave. I was really happy with it. I did get, as a negative, I did get the menthol coming up and irritating my eyes just a little bit. But I could see how in the mornings that might be cool, kind of wake you up a little bit. I'm a night shaver though, but all other aspects of that aftershave I enjoyed. All right. Midnight Stag is a challenge. Steven from Dogwood Handcrafts, he's a great brush handle maker, and in high demand. This is one of his favorite, if not his favorite all-time soaps, and so it's polarizing. Gasoline, rubber almost, leather, smoke, and wood are all the notes that you might get here. Today, I'm going to do the Marco method. Yesterday was my normal wet method of just coming at it with a very lightly wet brush and then loading for 30 seconds or so, which turned out to be a long time and gave me 3 extra passes of soap, maybe. So I can reduce that when I do my wet method with this soap for sure. And so today I feel like let's do Marco. I did the Marco method, which is a very wet method. Your brush is saturated with water as you come into the soap. So we'll work on that. I did it with Sella and a Badger twice, but I think the tips were too soft, but I think mainly that knot just held so much water that it got in the way of the soap being loaded onto the brush, even during 120 swirls. Then I switched that same Sella soap to this very bore brush, and it did great. Maybe this brush holds the right amount of water. So let's see how it behaves with the Chiseled Face Midnight Stag. And I think I've shown you everything. So I'm just going to throw a little water on my face. About a 24-hour growth. Getting in right before midnight here. Now, with the Marco method, the starting point is not to let too much water leave your brush. Pulling it out of a solid soak, don't shake it or anything like that, is the general idea, the starting point. Like in the case of my Badger, I probably need to do a couple of shakes, get rid of some of that water. After Austere August, where I'm using all the same gear, where I can't be as flexible, I'm going to try that again with Sella and with the Badger brush. All right, so now we're going to go into this guy and very lightly, just really using the tips only, 120 circles. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100, 10, 20. I think I miscounted a couple times early on. My rhythm just wasn't quite right, so I added 5 more at the end. And so this is what that looks like about 120 very light circles over the soap. Not pressing in, I mean hardly at all, just letting the weight of the brush be what does it. I'm going to now rinse the threads of the soap puck, make it easier to store away. Alright, and now you can bowl lather with Marco if you want. I'm just going to face lather, something new for me. I don't face lather often. I really enjoy the bowl. Burp in there somewhere. This brush right now is giving me some nice soft tips. Very comfortable. A light scrubbing action. Very soft. I did not break this brush in. It came to me used with pretty straight bristles. It hadn't really bloomed out very much, but the many of the tips were already split, and so that's where a lot of this softness comes in. If you have a boar brush and you're brand new with it, then you're in a hard place sometimes, especially with Omegas, in my opinion. They take so long to get comfortable. My Smogs have broken in pretty quickly, and my Zeniths have. So simply working this lather as it starts to get more creamy. The water that's up in the high part of the knot is, gradually mixing with what was gathered up on the tips. And then when it kind of looks like, I don't think it's fully mixed. I think there's still a good bit of water in here that needs to mix with lather. Well, I'm going to say let's let that happen at the next pass, and I'll probably keep getting some nice lather with each time. Let's try that. All right, and let me show you the Nacet. Since we are on such a high number of uses, yeah, it's right side up. Here's the X, or part, what's left of it over here that I started with last year in August, or technically a few days before August. I used this Nacet. I came into August with it having maybe 3 or 4 uses on it. Okay. Nice and tight, always has good alignment. The Timeless does. And I'll say it again, this open comb is too rough for me with newer blades. Scent strength on here is nice and strong. 6 out of 10 maybe. Love that. There are definitely going to be creamier soaps out there. This is not top tier performance, but you know what's top tier in my book? The scents. The intelligently designed scents, the masculine direction they took with it. Not saying there's anything wrong with a good gentle barbershop or fruity stuff, or even a midnight dreary is one of my favorite florals, because it's not really too much of a floral, but it's got orchids in it, I think. Just an awesome scent. So I'm not saying only the man stuff has merit, but I love that they've chosen that niche and stuck with it. Very good first pass. I had a good face feel. The razor was gentle and not harsh at all. No tugging, no irritation, nothing like that. Not a lot of residual slickness. It's almost like a soapiness that might be activated by a splash of water if you needed to, but obviously I've still got more soap on my brush. So let's kind of do a little half rinse. Sure enough, I was right. The rinse there, the minute I put on some excess water to start rinsing, the slickness came back. I could probably start up a brand new brush or something like that and have enough residual slickness to maybe do another pass. So it's obvious that this method gathers up a lot of soap. And while my wet method may spread the soap more evenly across the 3 passes, the intensity and the slickness is not quite the same. And so I'm guessing this uses a lot more soap. All right, so, and notice I haven't added any more water to the brush. So yesterday, hung out with my wife after the shave. I totally thought I was going to be in trouble. I thought that she would just totally home in on the strength of the soap, but she didn't say a thing. And that's cool. I'm happy about that. I did not want to be offending her all month. Of course, when I told her the prize that awaited me after a month of midnight stag, she was on board there. For regular users of the wet shaving forum, Dogwood Handcrafts is going to make a custom brush if you complete the month using 31 days of midnight stag. And he's just a cool guy. Customer service is a top priority with him. He also works on the Southern Witchcrafts brand of soap, which is a very good performing vegan soap. They don't have actual real spiritual ties to that, type of world, but that's just kind of their interest and theme that they've chosen for their business. All right, let's rinse this. And because that second pass didn't have as much water as I might normally want, I'm going to go ahead and leave a whole bunch of water on my face after each rinse. I definitely have a more soap intense lather on my face for each pass than I did when I did my wet lather. And so I'm confident I'm probably using twice as much soap, maybe more with this Marco method than with the other one. And so what I could do is take that 120 count, back it off a little bit, try 80 next time, see what happens. It's not set in stone, but it's just a starting point, right? And I'm no Marco method expert. I've just tried it a few times, and I have been passing on the information to you based on what I have read. The wisdom of others, and I'm getting just a really comfy shave, lots of slickness. I am getting a little bit of drag due to maybe a kind of a pasty feel, which does indicate a lather that needs a little bit of water. But you know what? It's given me a much more intense smell, and I'm really enjoying that right now. So I'm not really inclined to change things up. However, one side effect may be that it dries out my skin more. It gives a little more of an itchy feeling maybe, sometimes if you don't have enough water. Face feels really good. A little bit of maybe some rawness right over here, but it's very faint. I'm happy with this shave. So this was the third pass, I believe. Got lots of length right here in my trouble spot or next to my Adam's apple there. So I'm definitely going to hit that again. Put some water on there. Hit that again with my razor. But other than that, and I had the same issue yesterday, so I'm confident that it's going to end up well. I'm going to tug a little bit on my skin, and then I am going to draw the razor head across lightly, just enough pressure so it stays on the skin. but at a slight slant. I'm going to do an upward motion like this, but I'm going to pull it across. The head here is going to be kind of an upward tilt, but I'm going to pull it more horizontal as I move across. And since the hair growth is kind of this way, there will be a very slight against the grain aspect to it. And that should appease my irritation factor and give me a closeness and a good cut at a good comfort level. I can barely feel it on my skin. That's how light I'm doing it, and I almost feel like I'm missing parts. And I'm just going to take it easy. I can always come back, do another pass if I want. And there we go. Yeah, much better. Much better. I'm happy with that. There's a couple of hairs that I do see a little bit of length on, but since I can't go against the grain due to irritation, I'm happy with that. Most people 4 feet away or greater wouldn't notice them anyway. And now comes the aftershave. And like I told you yesterday, it's got some skin goodies with it instead of just kind of the old standard of alcohol and fragrance. We've also got witch hazel, aloe, calendula, vitamin B5 Pro. So pretty nice. Oh yeah. Just in case, I don't think you have to shake this one up, but just in case there's some solids that, or, you know, in case it's not exactly a stable solution. The leather and something else is more dominant with the splash than the soap. Gasoline kind of takes a stronger presence with the soap, but the leather, and yeah, almost a bourbon type scent, even though it's not listed in the notes. Maybe that's the combination of the smoky wood, and then maybe the gasoline is kind of giving an alcohol type scent. And of course this has alcohol in it, since it's the aftershave, so maybe that's what's completing what's leading our mind in a certain direction. But yeah, now I'm feeling a little bit of the burn because of the menthol. I definitely increased my dosage today from yesterday, and so the menthol is stronger. I often interpret and feel menthol as a burning sensation instead of cooling. Yesterday's lighter amount was nicer because I felt burning for a few minutes, but then it was gone and the cooling stayed for quite a while. So this one's a little bit stronger, but hopefully I'll be able to enjoy the scent as well once that cooling subsides. All right, well, this is Marco, and so there's not really a bowl of lather to show you. There's just this guy right here and a whole pass of lather with him. And so yeah, I do believe the concentration of water to soap was maybe a bit too high with this method. Some people may not have a problem with it. Some people should go with 120 swirls. As for me, I might back it down, maybe to 80 or 90. Try it next time. Try to find a balance where the soap isn't as intense. Not going to dry my skin out as much. Going to get a slicker feel, you know. But this was an easy lather, kind of foolproof, if you will. Not too much to think about, and not too much to clean up. So, but let me do what else I can as far as cleaning up. So here's the brush after stropping it on the towel. I don't really know what we're going to see it, how we're going to see it change. Maybe these flyaways here will get more friends and it'll open up. I don't know. Put him up there to dry. Now because I slung him out in the sink, because I stropped him on the towel, it's my belief that there's not any gravity affectable water in that brush. And so storing it not up or not down on some kind of hanger shouldn't matter at all. And I think studies have been done in the shaving world to kind of prove that. And so, but if I had a hanger, I'd put it on a hanger. I think they look cool. But also, any dust is not going to be able to settle inside the knot. But otherwise, it really doesn't matter. So I got a little shelf right up there, and so that's where I put it. And as usual, at the end of the shave, I'm going to loosen up, get a little air gap there in the head. Put my thumb here to keep it from moving around. Throw some water in it. Put my thumb back. Give it a good shake. And that air gap then should help help it not be too stuffy. Get some little airflow there. All right, we're all clean, ready to go. So that's 176 uses now, and we'll keep marching on. The blade is it is getting more dull, but it is doing it so slowly. My beard density is, I'd probably say, lighter than average, but I've seen plenty of guys with my similar beard density. But I've also heard reports from other hypermilers that say that they can take blades to 100, and they have highly dense beards. And so, a couple of things that I think might be important in how I get them to go so far is good light technique. If the blade seems like it's starting to dull, I'm not pressing harder, that kind of thing. And second, I like really wet lathers. I'm not doing any kind of dry lathers or stiff lathers where where you put the lather on the brush and you can take a picture of it because it's just so immovable and picturesque. I want something slicker than that. I want it to be as slick as I can get it and still slightly have a creamy aspect to it. And maybe those wet lathers are just making sure that there's the lubrication needed. Lubrication is going to protect my skin, but maybe, total theory here, maybe it's also protecting my blade. Who knows? And with this blade, I've never done any kind of post-shave treatment like swizzling it in alcohol or wiping it or soaking it. Some of the time I've actually done exactly like this and left it in the razor. So just a rinse is all it gets. Most of the other time I'm moving it I'm exchanging blades with different razors, and I keep it out. And so when out of the razor, and so all I do is like a pat. I'll put it on my washcloth gently. I'll fold over part of the washcloth and just pat it just to get some of the moisture off. Then I'll unfold, flip the razor blade over, pat again very gently, not moving the razor blade at all, not trying to damage the edge or touch or encounter the edge at all. Just pat some of those water droplets off, and then back it goes into its little envelope. So if you're curious about the post-shave treatment of the blade, nothing, just a rinse. And I also believe that because my lathers are so wet, it helps that blade to stay pretty clean. And to make any materials that are on it pretty much easily rinse off. So that may be a help too. Well, there we go, fellas. I smell of Midnight Stag, and it is nice. I really enjoy it. It's a little warm, and so in a sense that cooling effect is appreciated. I'm still feeling it. As it turns out, it does last quite a bit, at least on my face. And then, but now that it's been several minutes at least, some of the Midnight Stag scents are starting to make their way up to my nose and are not being overwhelmed by the menthol aspect. But there we go. Second Midnight Stag shave in the books. I started late, so I'm going to have to go over in September to make sure I get 31 days of consecutive Midnight Stag use. So there we go. I hope there's something here for you. The Marco method, try again. It was simple, it was easy, and it was fairly effective. I'm going to tweak the soap a little bit. The soap exposure, the loading time is what I'm going to change, and we'll see if that turns something good. Well, hey, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care, and good night.